Hello and welcome to VOA's Red Carpet. My name is Jackson Vunganyi. Thank you so much for joining us today. On this episode of Red Carpet, we have two Ghanaian painters featured at the Denver Art Museum, and a fashion brand by a former Somali refugee is upcycling life jackets to raise awareness for refugees. Let's get on with the show. And let's start the show with some highlights of the latest entertainment news from around the world. Zimbabwean comedian and socialite Mai Titi was convicted for theft and fraud charges by a magistrate court in Harare. According to the report, Mai Titi was sentenced to 12 months imprisonment, of which 6 months are suspended on the condition that she does not commit any other offense. The report also adds that she will serve another 3 months for defrauding on community service in 2015 in a domestic violence case. In music news, the recently announced new Grammy Award rules have banned 100% AI-produced music. According to the report, AI-only work is banned, but some music created with AI help may qualify in certain categories, according to the Academy's updated rulebook. The new rules also state that an artist must now contribute to at least 20% of an album to earn a nomination. In the past, any producer, songwriter, engineer, or featured artist on an album could earn a nomination for Album of the Year, even if the person had a small input. And now turning to art news, the new modern art gallery at the Denver Art Museum includes two painters from Ghana. VOA's Scott Stearns gives us a look.
Denver Art Museum's newly renovated modern and contemporary art gallery features a wall of double portraits that includes the Henri Matisse painting Two Sisters and Martin Maloney's Overexposed. Added to the collection are two works by artists from Ghana. Rory Padakins, the gallery curator.
We curiously have this collection of double portraits. And I thought it would be interesting to kind of celebrate that, to celebrate connections between people, literally that are happening within the painting itself.
Ghanaian painter Cornelius Annor's Aboke was acquired by the museum last year.
The ways in which he's created the image is that he's also applied fabric to it. So there's these textiles from Ghana and from Africa in general that's also added onto the painting itself, and it adds this kind of richness.
Ghanaian painter Emmanuel Taku's Black Halos reflects the artist's childhood love for Superman comics.
As he got older, he realized that he never saw characters in these comic books that looked like him. And so as an artist, he wanted to sort of portray all of his figures with this kind of superhuman strength. And so they're usually pupilless. It's at that point where the Superman character becomes his most powerful.
The reinstalled gallery draws from a collection of more than 8,000 pieces. Scott Stearns, VOA News, Denver.
And let's get to some fashion news. A fashion label called Epimonia, founded by a refugee, is upcycling material from life jackets worn by refugees into fashion accessories and other items of clothing. The brand has collaborated with Somali American poet ALAKKUU for an exhibit to raise awareness for the global refugee crisis through fashion, art, and poetry. VOA's Kali Abdu has more.
These are not ordinary life jackets. They were worn by refugees who risked their lives to reach Europe from Africa. Now they are part of a fashion collection created by Epimonia, a company that supports refugees around the world. Mohammed Malim is the founder of the brand.
Epimonia is a fashion apparel company that supports refugees here in the U.S. We take refugee life jackets that refugees have worn crossing the Mediterranean Sea. We take those life jackets and turn into a fashion piece. The purpose behind that is, to create awareness of the refugee crisis globally and to support refugees, through sustainable fashion.
The life jackets and boats featured in the exhibit are symbols of the refugee crisis. They were worn and used by refugees who fled their homes and risked their lives on the sea. As a former refugee, Malim created the exhibit as a tribute to the journey of refugees.
What you see behind me is we hosted our second exhibit on World Refugee Day. This exhibit basically It's a moment where we respect and we honor the refugees fleeing. We tell the stories of the refugees that flee from the home country. It's something that is very meaningful to me, and especially myself, because as a former refugee from Somalia, I can relate the aspect of fleeing from a home country. I fled from Somalia during the 1990s. I was born in Kenya in a city called Dadaab, in a refugee camp.
The boat starts to slow down. The captain turns around with a loaded gun and says it's getting heavy.
Epimonia collaborated with ALAKKUU, a Somali-American poet and author, to share the stories of refugees at the exhibit.
The news story of this type of journey is always just numbers. It's 9 people off the coast of this and 12 people off the coast of that, and you don't really understand who these people are or why they're driven to leave a country they call home. And so we really wanted to just, make this very tangible. Story short, no one knows for sure.
Development experts say that Africa's creative economy, which include film, music, art, fashion, and other cultural goods and services, has the potential to generate millions of dollars in income for African artists and their communities. Nigerian music executive Oluwaseyi Ladele is the founder of Bomb Shelter Digital, a company that is helping independent artists monetize their content. He tells me that African artists need to leverage the current global interest in African cultural products to generate more revenue for their creativity. As streaming services and digital platforms continue to distribute African music to a global audience, many African artists are yet to cash in on the recent surge of interest in their creativity. Oluwaseyi Ladele is the founder of Bomb Shelter Digital Services. His company works to monetize the creativity of independent African artists. He says that there is still more money being left on the table due to a lack of knowledge on how to market and collect the revenues from their work.
So African creatives right now, there's a whole lot of money that is actually left on the table right now for African creatives to tap into. The genre is growing. Afrobeats is huge right now. And it's going to get bigger. 10 years ago, what the type of resources we used to tap into, we didn't have the opportunity. Right now, we have some of our artists #1 global right now, doing the biggest songs globally.
Right.
So Rema,
topping charts.
Burna Boy,
filling up stadiums and arenas.
And also many independent artists too as well, who we may not know their names. So right now there's a huge opportunity for Afrobeats and its monetization. It's anything African creatives, 100%, because with creativity, there's the music, there's the art, there's social-cultural part of everything too as well. So there's fashion. So that whole industry has huge potentials for monetizations, what we like to call the creative economy in our territory. So there's a whole lot of money there. And for the artist in particular, you make a lot of money from streaming, you make a lot of money from publishing your content, licensing your songs for sync, putting it in movies. You make money from events and shows, you make money from endorsements. So the African creative has the opportunity right now to actually chop up their content and monetize that content.
Every aspect of the content.
Every aspect of the content on different medias.
And different platforms.
All platforms.
Okay, so then let's get into your company, Bomb Shelter Digital Services.
Yes.
What do you do? How do you leverage this power?
So Bomb Shelter Digital Services was actually born from representing the underprivileged, actually. So our mission really isn't to establish artists, but really to developing independent artists, because we have come up with an algorithm that will take time to grow and develop content from one phase to the next phase. So what we do here in Bomb Shelter is we find niche independent artists, because what we do, we can't do for everybody. We have direct deals to all the digital service providers globally. We have a representative there, meaning that if Jackson Tech, for example, needs to wax a record, we could show you how to release that song properly. There's a whole infrastructure behind the release of a song professionally.
There's a process.
There's a process, and it's leveraged on technology end-to-end 100%.
The National Building Museum in Washington, D.C. has launched a new long-term exhibition called Brick City, which recreates the iconic architecture of cities around the world using Lego bricks. Maxim Maskalkov has the story.
The National Building Museum in Washington has been delighting visitors with a new exhibition called Brick City, which recreates the world's architectural masterpieces in Lego bricks.
And this exhibit brings wonder and the joy of play, and also a sweeping look at architecture from across the globe.
The exhibition features Lego models of iconic structures, including the Colosseum in Rome, London Stadium, the Empire State Building, St. Basil's Cathedral, Buckingham Palace, and the Mayan pyramids of Chichen Itza. About 250,000 Lego pieces were used to build the roughly 40 models.
We can take a tour of buildings in every continent across the world, so people can learn a little bit more about things that are close to home, but things that are far away as well. And then we've got an amazing play space behind me where kids can create kids and adults, I shouldn't say just kids and adults can create something wonderful and create a whole new DC. We have a map of DC back there. Build new bridges, create new memorials, use your imagination. That's what it's about today.
Two models, a traditional Moroccan courtyard and the Lincoln Memorial in Washington, are among the most impressive. The Brick City exhibition at the National Building Museum will be open to the public through spring 2025. Maxim Moskalkov for VOA News, Washington.
Japanese wrestler Shogo Uzomi moved to the Senegalese city of Taiz to master a local wrestling style known as lamb. Let's take a look.
Meet Japanese wrestler Shogo Uzomi. After competing at a national level back home, he decided to swap Tokyo for Taiz, Senegal's third largest city. His goal? To master a Senegalese wrestling style known as lamb.
I just finished practice today with the team. Every time I practice, I feel myself getting stronger bit by bit. So I feel a lot of joy and growth.
Anchored in ancestral war rituals, lamb has evolved from a post-harvest pastime into Senegal's national sport. It blends physical combat and acrobatics, with victory marked by an opponent's back touching the ground. Uzomi first discovered this style of wrestling during a trip to Senegal in 2017. He relocated to the African country full-time 5 years later and now lives with a community of wrestlers. Uzomi has also set up an academy of 36 students who he's helping to prepare for the 2026 Youth Olympics.
The reason I like Senegal is that the Senegalese people have very warm hearts. In Senegal, as in Japan, we have a culture of hospitality, which in Japan is called omotenashi, but in Senegal it is called teranga. When I came to Senegal, I was fascinated by this hospitality. Senegalese people live together with their families, and they all support each other in this way. That's my kind of culture, so I fell in love with Senegal.
Thank you so much for watching VOA's Red Carpet. My name is Jackson Vunganye. For more entertainment news, remember to check us out at voaafrica.com. We are also on Facebook, on Instagram, and on YouTube. Do not forget to like, to share, and to subscribe. Until next time, goodbye everyone.